best college football players are the ones who make the fewest mistakes. More often than not, the player who plays mistake-free football is the one who will come out on top. So in this video, I'm going over 7 huge mistakes that will lose you games in both college football 25 and college football 26. And I promise that fixing these mistakes will win you more games. So if that sounds good to you, then let's get started. So starting us off at number 1, one of the biggest mistakes that college football players make is not knowing how to guard corner routes. The streak and corner route combo is one of the most powerful route combos in the game, and if you don't know how to stop it, you will get obliterated by it. So right here, I had the defense in a cover 3 hard flat, a really common coverage that a defense could be in. And if our opponent has a streak and corner route combo on the outside, the streak is going to push back the defender in the outside third, and it's going to leave the corner route wide open underneath. And so I have 3 ways for you guys to easily shut down these corner routes. And there's 2 obvious ones that are not on this list that I want to address really quick. The first one, you may be saying, well, I'll just man up that corner route and my man coverage will take it away. Well, if you have a lockdown cornerback in the man coverage, then maybe he'll take away the corner route. But a lot of the times, the corner routes will actually fry man coverage. So you don't want to rely on man coverage to take away these corner routes. The other thing you may be saying is, oh, I'll just user the corner route. I'll just user this linebacker, and if it's a corner route, I'll just run with him. Well, if you imagine running all the way out here to the sideline with your user, look at how much space it leaves in the middle of the field. You're taking your user, the most powerful player on defense, and taking him away from the middle where he can cover the most routes. And so we don't want to just run with our user all the way up to the corner route. And so instead, I have 3 other methods that you guys can use to completely shut down corner routes. And the first one is going to be to use zone drops. And so we're going to go into our coaching adjustments on defense, and we're going to be changing the zone drops of our curl flat zones. We're going to go down to curl flat zone drops, and we're going to put these on 25. What that's going to do is any purple zone on the field, which is curl flats, quarter flats, or seam flats, they are going to drop to 25 yards deep. And what we're going to see out on the field is that having them on 25 yards is going to be the perfect depth to shut down these corner routes. So I'm going to call cover 3 sky, where we already have 2 purple zones on the field. And if we go ahead and set up our route combo again, what you're going to see when I snap this ball, or we'll say before I snap the ball, the 25-yard curl flat, which is the slot cornerback on the wide side, he is going to drop 25 yards back and completely shut down this corner route. So now when we snap the ball, you can see that he is all over the corner route. There's absolutely no chance of completing that pass. Now you may be saying, that's cool and all, but did you see how open the flat was? What if they have that tight end on a drag route? Now you have absolutely nobody guarding the flat on that side, and you are correct. If you want to take away the flat on that side as well, that's where you would take maybe this linebacker right here, put him in a hard flat, and now we have a Mabel concept on the wide side of the field. And a Mabel concept is where you have someone guarding short, medium, and deep on one side of the field. If you do it on both sides of the field, that's called a double Mabel. And so if we go ahead and run this right here, you can see that the corner route is, again, of course, still going to be bagged, but now the drag is completely covered as well. And we have everything guarded on that flood concept. But the really cool thing is that it doesn't have to be this slot cornerback who's dropping back. You could actually flip it. You could actually have the slot cornerback playing in the hard flat, and you could put this linebacker here in the curl flat, the 25-yard curl flat, and he'll still get back in time. So if I go ahead and set up that same route combo again, what you're going to see this time is that the linebacker gets back 25 yards, and he's all over the corner route. And so it doesn't really matter which player you have on that curl flat. If you put a 25-yard curl flat on the field, as long as it's from a slot cornerback or a linebacker, they are going to completely bag any corner route that your opponent throws at you. And of course, the one caveat is if your opponent is running a short corner route, or maybe they're using a corner route and then they're like custom stemming it down super short, you'll have to adjust your zone drops accordingly, because in that case, a 25-yard curl flat might be a little bit too deep and you might want to switch it to something like 20. But the idea of using these curl flats with the correct zone drops to guard corner routes is something that will instantly make it way easier to shut down corner routes. Now, moving on to the second method for guarding corner routes, we have match coverage. And for match coverage, we need to turn off those zone drops that we just set. For match coverage, you have to have all your zone drops on default. And that means your hooks, your curl flats, and your flats. They all need to be on default. And for this, I'm going to go ahead and call cover 4 quarters, although cover 4 palms will work as well. I may have missed it. Let me go ahead and find it real quick. There's cover 4 quarters. And we're going to run the same route combo on offense. So I'm going to put the slot on a corner route, the outside receiver on a streak. We're going to block the running back and drag the tight end. What we're going to see this time is that with match coverage, any vertical route coming from the slot is going to get matched onto by this safety in the inside quarter zone. And so if we go ahead and snap this ball, what you're going to see is that after he gets jammed initially, that inside quarter zone is going to be all over it. And that's possibly a pick. At a minimum, that's a swat. And there's no chance of that corner route getting open. The main thing to note is that the safety in the inside quarter zone is going to match onto that slot receiver if he's going on a vertical route. And a vertical route is anything that breaks at least 10 yards deep. So if he's on a short route, if he's on a drag, a curl, a slant, something like that, most likely he's not matching on. But on a deep route like this corner route, he is going to match on every single time. And so if we go ahead and run this again, let me make sure I am on the right guys. You can see that he's in the inside quarter zone right there. And we snap the ball after the initial chuck. He's going to match on and he's going to be all over it. And if I had more hands, I could click on and it would be an interception. And so that is how we can use match coverage to shut down corner routes as well, especially with cover 4 quarters and cover 4 palms. Now, the third method for shutting down corner routes is also the most advanced, but it's what you're going to see the pro players doing more than anything else, and that is going to be to use the switch stick. And so if I go back to cover 3 sky, we are going to see that you don't have to have zone drops. You don't have to use match coverage. If you have a good enough switch stick, then you can take away corner routes with ease. And so I'm going to go ahead and put the same route combo as before on the field. And this time we're going to try and switch stick onto the outside third cornerback and come back down to the corner route. And just as a quick refresher, for those of you not familiar with the switch stick allows you to change what player you're using after the snap. And so initially, I'm going to be using with this linebacker down here, but then once I recognize that there's a corner route, I'm going to switch stick onto this outside cornerback in the outside third. And the way that you switch stick is you simply flick your right stick in the direction of the player you want to switch to. So what's going to happen, and it's going to happen pretty fast, is the ball's going to get snapped. I'm going to stay down here guarding over the middle. I'm going to see that the slot receiver is going on a corner route. And then when I recognize that, I'm going to flick my right stick up and to the left, and it's going to switch me onto this outside cornerback right here in the outside third. I'm going to pull him back down as the throw happens and come down to make a play on the ball on the throw to the corner route. Now, because I only have 2 hands and I'm trying to do this with 2 controllers, it might be a little bit clunky, but I'm going to give it my best shot. And so I'm going to be throwing to the wide receiver and trying to switch stick onto that corner route. So if we go ahead and snap the ball, we can see that it's throwing to Y, and I switched on to him. And so unfortunately, my 2 controller switch stick wasn't quite the best, but I think that the principle hopefully is still good enough to show you guys. So you see I'm controlling this guy right here. The corner route is in the air, and you can see the circle underneath my defenders. You can see when I switched onto this defender right here, and I turned around to make a play on the ball. Now, unfortunately, the game did not give this to me, even though we're in pretty good position. We're kind of going through the receiver. And so, again, if I was on one controller, I think it would have been a lot easier. I think my brain got a little turned around for a sec. But you can see that we are still taking control of him and making a play on the ball. I'm going to go ahead and try it one more time because I do want to get a successful rep for you guys. But switch stick is definitely one of those things that takes some practice to get used to. But if you can master switch stick, it will make a huge difference in your games. And so one more time, we're going to go ahead and snap this ball. We're going to try and throw to the wide receiver. I'm going to switch stick onto the cornerback on the outside. And you know what? I'm doing everything I can. We're there. We are taking control of him, and the game just does not want to force the incompletion. But the example still stands. You can see that we're controlling him, and you can see the moment the circle switches from one guy to the other. That's when I took control of this cornerback. I came back down. We are there making a play on the ball. And, you know, more often than not, this will be forcing a knockout or something. And the game just didn't give it to us. But all we can do is put our defender in position and hope for a knockout. And so that is the third method for guarding corner routes. The 3 methods, once again, are to use zone drops, use match coverage, and use switch stick. And hopefully you'll have better luck than I do on the switch stick, where you have the defender in the right position. Hopefully the game will give you those interceptions or those knockouts. But if you master those 3 concepts regarding corner routes, your opponent will never be able to easily throw corner routes on you ever again. Now at number 2, a huge mistake that way too many Madden players make is not knowing how to beat match coverage. Earlier we talked about how powerful match coverage is at guarding corner routes, but there is a very simple trick to neutralize it. So right here I have the defense in cover 4 quarters, and we'll quickly look again at how powerful match coverage is. I'm just going to put my slot receiver on a corner route. If we go ahead and snap this ball, what you're going to see is that corner route is going to get matched onto by the safety over the top. He's going to undercut it and possibly intercept it. At the very least, he's going to swat it away. If we go ahead and look at the replay, what you're going to see that on this cover 4 quarters, everything in our flood concept was bagged. Just like we saw right here, after the initial jam, the safety in the inside quarter is going to match onto the corner route. He's going to be able to make a play on the ball there. And if we come down to our tight end on the flat route, he is also going to get matched onto. He's going to get matched onto by the slot cornerback who was jamming our slot receiver initially, but that flat route is completely bagged as well. Everything is completely covered and there's not really anybody open. However, there's a very simple trick that we can do to turn off our opponent's match coverage, and that is to go into a 4x1 set. So what 4x1 means is having 4 receiving threats on the same side of the quarterback. And so right here, if we look at our offense, we have 1, 2, 3 players on one side of the quarterback, or 3 receiving threats, I should say, on one side of the quarterback, and then 1, 2 receiving threats on the other side of the quarterback. The reason that this matters is that match coverage is based on a numbering system, and that numbering system counts the receiving threats from outside in. So in this set right here, the defense is counting the outside receiver on the right side as number 1, the slot receiver as number 2, and the tight end as number 3. And then on the opposite side, the wide receiver is number 1, and the running back would be number 2. So the reason this numbering system is important is that match coverage has very specific rules based on what each of these players does. There's rules based on what the number 1 does, like whether he goes vertical or doesn't go vertical. Same with the number 2, same with the number 3 on each side. But if you have 4 receiving threats on one side of the quarterback, then the match coverage rules will no longer apply because there will not be enough defenders to account for each receiving threat on that side. And what will then happen is that instead of playing match coverage, they will revert to playing drop zone coverage. So let's get a 4x1 set on the field. And believe it or not, it's super easy to do. All we do is we take our running back here and we motion him over to the other side. Now we have a 4x1 set. We can count the receiving threats on this right side. We have 1, 2, 3, and 4. With this running back motioned over and us being a 4x1 set, the defense is going to play drop zone coverage. And what we're going to see right here when we snap this ball, this time the slot cornerback just dropped instantly back into his purple flat. There was no one matching onto the tight end, and we had an easy 10-yard gain. You can see right here. Remember in the cover 4 quarters when they're playing match, he was jamming the slot receiver and then matching on the tight end. Instead, he's playing normal cover 4 drop. He is just instantly dropping back to his zone, and the corner route is covered, but as we saw, that means there's just no one matching onto the tight end. We hit him with a pass lead up, and we get an easy 10-yard gain. And you don't have to use motion to create 4x1 sets. It's often the easiest way. You can create a 4x1 set out of anything, but there are formations in the game that are naturally 4x1 as well. And I'm not too familiar with the Washington playbook, but this right here is a perfect example. The formation gun Y-off trips. This is naturally a 4x1 set. And so we could just call flood swing or something. And you can see right here that when we come out in the field, we are already in a 4x1 set. And so if your opponent tries to run match coverage against you, it doesn't matter. The match coverage is not going to work. And to be clear, as you hopefully saw in the previous example, you don't need 4 people going out on routes. It is simply where they are lined up. As long as you have 4 people lined up on one side of the quarterback, the match coverage is not going to apply, and you'll be able to have someone open in your flood concept every single time. And so if you're ever struggling against match coverage, especially cover 4 quarters or cover 4 palms, just go ahead and put your offense in a 4x1 set. You either can find a set that is naturally 4x1, or you can use motion to create a 4x1, and then the match coverage will not work, and you'll have a super easy time moving the ball down the field. Now, coming in at number 3, a huge mistake that way too many college football players make, especially beginner players, is throwing one-on-one jump balls. And so right here, this is a gameplay clip of an opponent I played very recently, and he loved going for these 1v1 jump balls. You can see right there on 1st and 10, he was unsuccessful. He did no huddle, and he ended up running the ball on 2nd and 10. But if we jump ahead to 3rd and 5, this is the 3rd and 5 play, you can see that he is going back to the one-on-one jump ball. It is incomplete once again, and sure enough, he wasn't done because on 4th and 5, he decided to try it one more time and go for the one-on-one jump ball. It was still incomplete, and it was a turnover on downs for him. And so when I saw this, when I saw him spend 3 of his 4 plays trying to throw one-on-one jump balls, I was like, wow, maybe he really thinks this is a good strategy. And for those of you who are trying to say, oh, in real life, it's a great strategy, the receiver is bigger, the receiver has the advantage, that's fine and everything, but you have to remember that this is not real life, this is a video game, and you have to play the game the way it's coded. And on these one-on-one jump balls, you have a very low percentage chance of completing them. Now, if you're an advanced player, and you maybe know how to manipulate the defender, and you can either do a swerve catch, maybe you can come back and do a rocket catch, that is a little bit of a different situation, but most players aren't doing that. Most players are not swerve catching, they're not rocket catching, they are just simply chucking it and saying, oh, I have a one-on-one with the receiver over the cornerback, I have the advantage, I'm just going to throw this. That is not a winning strategy, guys. You want to scheme up routes and plays that will get your receivers open. You don't want to rely on just chucking jump balls. Now, when you're on defense, the best thing you can do on these plays is don't click on. And so now on the 1st and 10 play, I did accidentally click on, but I want you to watch this right here. I never click on to my defender on this 3rd and 5 play. And the reason for that has to do with the way the game is coded. When you click onto your player and go for the interception, it increases the chances significantly of there being single man animations that can result in the receiver getting an aggressive catch and you getting dunked on and him taking it for a touchdown. You don't want to risk that. By not clicking on, there's a much higher chance of getting a 2-man animation, which is, it's actually not what we're getting right here, but it's still good practice to just not click on, because more often than not, when you click on, you introduce a lot of risk of you actually giving up a big completion in these one-on-one balls. And so it's very tempting for us as the defender to click on, and I admit I did it on this play right here on the 1st and 10 rep. But in my experience, if you want the highest chance of forcing that incompletion, don't click on. Just don't press anything. Let the CPU defend these one-on-one jump balls, and there's a much higher chance of it being an incompletion. Again, obviously, if you want to play aggressive and go for the interception, you can go for the interception. But just what I've observed in the game this year and over the last couple years, when you click on to go for the interception, you also introduce the risk of the receiver getting a good animation and him catching the ball and maybe taking it for a touchdown. So if you want to play the safest way possible and probably avoid giving up a catch, like have the highest chance of forcing an incompletion, I recommend not clicking on. And as long as you don't click on, then these one-on-one jump balls are going to be incomplete for your opponent every single time. Now at number 4, a huge mistake that will lose you college football games is not flipping your formation based on which hash you're on. And this is all about spacing. And so to start off, we need to talk about some terms: wide side of the field and short side of the field. And so if you think about a vertical line drawn directly through your center and your quarterback to kind of split the field into 2 halves, whenever you're on a hash, there will be one side of the field that has a lot of space and one side of the field that has not that much space. And so in this particular case, the left side of the field is the side of the field where we have a lot of space. That is the wide side of the field. And the right side of the field is the side of the field where we have not much space. That is the short side of the field. The reason we want to think about things in terms of wide side and short side of the field is that if we have a formation or a route combo where spacing matters, we always want to make sure that we have our receivers in the correct side of the field where they can take advantage of that really good spacing. And so right here, I'm in the Oklahoma State playbook. I'm in the formation gun trips tight end, and gun trips tight end is all about spacing. If I have the defense here in a cover 2, we can see that because of this awesome spacing of our receivers, when I go ahead and snap this ball, my receiver on the outside is wide open, and even with a weird pass lead, he is still able to get an easy completion for a touchdown. And you can see, real quick, I'll show you again, look at how spaced out our receivers are because they're on the wide side of the field. Now let's go over to the left hash. And even though I'm going over to the left hash, I'm going to not flip my formation. And when we break the huddle, look at how close together my receivers are. They are way closer together. We are not getting the full advantages of the great spacing of Guntrip's tight end, because by having those receivers way closer together, it's way easier for defenders to guard multiple routes on one play. And so right here, if I go ahead and run the same route combo against cover 2, what you're going to see that this is a much tougher throw to make to that receiver. And I tried to pass lead it away because you can see that if I pass let it inside at all, the safety would have been there to make a play. You can see that just right here, this safety, he is pretty close to both of these guys. These guys are way closer together than they were when we were on the wide side of the field. Like if that ball was on target, that's an interception because there wasn't space to lead the ball away from the receiver. If that ball's on target, that safety is making a play on the ball, and it's all because we have really bad spacing relative to when we were on the wide side of the field. And so what should we do? This is the point of the tip, which is you want to flip your play based on the hash that you're on. And so if you're on the left hash after your previous play, then when you're in the play call screen and you have your play verticals, you're going to press the right trigger or R2 to flip your play so that you'll put, in this case, your trips receivers on the wide side of the field. And if we go ahead and put the defense in cover 2, now you can see that we once again have this awesome spacing on the wide side. And once again, we can go ahead and run this route combo. We can pass lead this ball outside, and now we have our touchdown. And so it's very important that people understand this, because this can be all the difference between having good, successful route combos and having route combos that maybe work from one hash, but not the other hash. I see so many people who never ever flip their formation. They will run it in the same orientation no matter which hash they're on, and then they'll wonder why sometimes these route combos are really good and sometimes these route combos are not that good. It has everything to do with spacing. It has everything to do with the hash marks and which side of the field is the wide side and which side you want to take advantage of great spacing. And so if you always want to get the best spacing possible, then always pay attention to the wide side of the field and flip your formation based on which side will give you the best spacing possible. Now at number 5, a huge mistake that way too many college football players make is not knowing how pull routes really work. And if you're not familiar with the term, a pull route is a streak that is designed to pull deep zones back and open up space for other routes coming underneath. And so right here, we have the tight end on a streak, and he is going to pull back the defenders in the outside thirds of this cover 3 defense. And that is going to open up this crosser from our middle trips receiver who's coming underneath. If we go ahead and snap this ball, we'll be able to see that the crosser comes underneath. We just hit him with a pass lead down and outside, and we have an easy touchdown. If we look at the replay real quick, you'll be able to see this working just like it's supposed to. He's on a streak. This defender in the outside third has to run with him, and because he has to run with him, there is nobody to guard this crosser coming underneath, and we pass lead it down outside. We get the clean catch, and we are into the end zone. The reason that this tip is here in this list is because people don't really understand when you can and cannot use pull routes. These streaks that you can use as pull routes only work if your streak is far enough outside. And so if you have an outside receiver, and so if this tight end was way out here, this streak will always pull the defender in the outside third, and your crosser, whatever's coming underneath, will always come open every single time. Where it gets a little more interesting is when you have tight ends on streaks and you have streaks from compressed formations like gun tight. Now again, right here, this tight end streak works. However, let's look at a scenario where instead of being on the right hash, let's say that you are in the middle of the field. You are smack dab in the middle, or especially if you are on the left hash. If you try this same route combo where we have the tight end on the streak and the defense is in a cover 3 hard flat, what you're going to see is that all of a sudden, this streak is no longer going to act as a pull route for us. If we go ahead and run this and try to throw the exact same thing, what you're going to see is that all of a sudden, that outside third just came down, made a play on the ball, and now it's going the other way. You might be saying, well, what the heck happened? Why is that so different? A second ago, we saw that outside third run with the streak and the crosser was wide open. Why is it that now we just move the ball over a few yards and all of a sudden that's an interception? What is the difference? The difference is that when the streak is far enough inside, he is no longer going to be the responsibility of the defender in the outside third. When the streak is far enough inside, he will be the responsibility of the safety in the middle third. And we can just ignore number 28 right here. He's going to come back off in a second. He's in a hook zone. What we're mainly concerned about is these two defenders in the deep blues. This cornerback is in an outside third. This safety is in a middle third. Those are the two guys we need to worry about. When this streak is far enough inside, this safety in the middle third is going to pick him up. And so right here, this safety, he's now locked onto him. He's now saying, this is my guy. I have the streak. When that happens, this cornerback in the outside third can look for other work because he knows he is not responsible for that tight end streak anymore. And as he starts looking for extra work, all of a sudden, he can easily come back, make a play on this crosser, and now it is an interception. And so it's extremely important that you understand that if you're going to use a streak as a pull route, it has to be far enough outside. So any streak that is inside the hash marks or even on the hash marks will not be sufficient for pulling an outside third or an outside quarter. He is going to get picked up by the safety in a middle third or a safety in an inside quarter, and that is going to leave the outside blue zones free to make a play on the ball. And so if you want to play it safe on your pull routes, you want your streak to be as far outside as possible. I would say this is probably even the closest you want to cut it is this tight end streak in Gun Trips tight end. If you really want to be safe, you want to make sure your streak is at least halfway between the hash mark and the numbers. If your streak is halfway between the hash mark and the numbers, or of course, even further outside than that is even better. But as long as your streak is at least halfway between the hash mark and the numbers, you know for a fact that your streak will pull the outside third or the outside quarter properly. Obviously, right here, you can see that we can get away with it being a little bit further inside. But like I said, this is about as inside of a streak as you can possibly get and still pull that third to open up a crosser or a corner route coming underneath. And so if you don't understand this concept of where the pull routes will work and actually pull zones back and where they won't work, you are going to set yourself up for throwing way more interceptions and not truly understanding why. And this ties back to our previous tip as well about flipping your formation based on which hash you're on. Because if you want to run this route combo right here, you need to do it from the hash where your trips receivers will be on the wide side and your crosser is running from the wide side of the field to the short side of the field. If you were on the left hash in this case, but you didn't flip your formation, as you guys can see, there's no shot that this route combo is going to get open. Like there's just no way that it's going to get open because that streak is easily going to get picked up by the middle third. It's going to leave the outside third completely free to pick up the crosser. And so this goes back to the previous point that if you want to really take advantage of spacing, and in this case, take advantage of pull routes, you need to be flipping your formation based on the hash. Because in this case, now that we have flipped the formation, once again, we can take advantage of the streak and pulling the defenders deep, and it opens up the crosser underneath. And so the last two tips, both flipping your formation based on the hash and understanding how pull routes work, are absolutely crucial if you want to have a top-notch passing game and move the ball up and down the field without throwing interceptions. Now at number 6, a huge mistake that will lose you college football games is not knowing how to stop read options. And there's a super simple component to this and then a more advanced component to this as well, and we'll talk about both of them. But to start off, let's do a quick recap of read options. On every read option play, there will be a defender with an R icon above his head. In this case, it's our defensive end on the right side. That is the read key defender. And based on the behavior of the read key defender, the quarterback may hand the ball off to the running back, or he may keep it himself. And so if we go ahead and snap the ball, we can see that because in this case, the read key was going to stay outside, it was kind of tough to see the animation because he sort of got blocked by the tight end anyway, even though he wasn't supposed to. He was going to be staying outside. In this particular case, he stayed outside once again. We hand off to the running back and he takes it up the middle. And hopefully we'll get a rep right here where he crashes inside. In this case, we hold A on Xbox or X on PlayStation, and we have it with our quarterback. And now we have a ton of yards on the outside. Someone who is good at running read options will be able to get almost guaranteed yards every single time. But that's where we have two simple ways to completely shut down these read options. And so on defense, we need to go into our coaching adjustments. This is the super simple adjustment that we're going to talk about. If you go into your coaching adjustments and you go down to option defense read key, you want this to always be on conservative. What this means is our read key defender is always going to stay home and watch the quarterback. And that is going to force our opponent to hand the ball off to the running back. And so I believe I was in cover one robber press there. We'll go ahead and call the same read option as before. And so now that we are on option defense conservative, if you watch that read key defender, he is going to stay outside every single time. Okay, he is going to, and again, he's kind of getting chipped there. And so that's not something that you'll always see. Hopefully we'll see it a little bit cleaner this time, but he is staying outside. You see right there, that's the perfect example of what we want to see from our read key defender. He is chopping his feet. He is not going over, or he's not going after the halfback dive, and he is forcing the handoff. That is exactly what we want. He's just squaring up to the mesh point and making sure that the quarterback cannot keep the ball. If your opponent does decide to keep the ball while you're on option defense conservative, then you are just going to run right into the defender. And like I said, he's sometimes getting chipped. It's kind of weird why the tight end's sometimes chipping, sometimes not chipping. But if you stay on option defense conservative and your opponent keeps with the QB, he is not going anywhere. He has to hand the ball off. Now you may be saying, that's really great, but look at how many yards they're getting on the handoff. It looks like it's free yards. Like, why would I want to accept this? That's still a 10 or 11 yard gain. And this is where the slightly more advanced component comes in, because we can also set up a gap shoot. If we are in any 4 down lineman set, it doesn't matter the playbook, doesn't matter the formation, but if we have 1, 2, 3, 4 defensive linemen with their hands in the dirt, we can set up the easiest gap shoot in the world. And so what we're going to do is we are going to pinch our D-line, which is left on the D-pad, down on the left stick. And we're going to slant our D-line outside, which is left on the D-pad, up on the right stick. We're going to use her with a linebacker in the middle, and we're going to hover directly across from the running back. Now, if this ball is handed off, what you can do after the snap is you can take your user, this linebacker, and there will be a gap that opens up right here between your 2 defensive tackles. And you can fly through that gap and you can bring the running back down in the backfield. I'm gonna go ahead and snap this ball. Now I'm on 2 controllers, so it'll be a little bit tough. But if I go ahead and snap this ball, I come straight down, I'm through the gap, and now he is going nowhere. So now we have both components of the read option completely bagged. We have the read key on the outside, who is, again, weirdly kind of getting chipped and blocked right there, even though that usually shouldn't happen. But if they hand the ball off, we are shooting through the gap. And if they keep it, then we have our read key on the outside. And so actually, I realized, after looking at this again, in this particular formation, I didn't even realize this would be happening. But in this particular formation, it's not gonna be every formation, but in this case, when we pinch our D line and slant him outside, our read key's actually switching to the slot cornerback out there. And so that's still perfectly fine, because even with it being that guy, if the quarterback keeps, he is still going to get completely eaten up by the read key, because the read key is still on option defense conservative. And so even though the read key is switching from the defensive end to the slot cornerback, it doesn't matter. We have a read key playing conservative option defense. That takes care of the quarterback keep option. And we have the gap shoot with our user, where we go straight up the middle and we bring the running back down in the backfield. And so with this setup right here, and again, any 4 down lineman set, it does not matter. In this case, with this setup, we have the handoff completely bagged, we have the QB keep completely bagged, and now your opponent is going absolutely nowhere if they're trying to run a read option against you. And finally, at number 7, a huge mistake that way too many college football players make is not using pre-snap motion. And I'm not even talking about the plays with the built-in pre-snap auto motion. I am talking about motioning your guys around to create different looks different formations, and different unique route combos that the defense isn't expecting. And so let's talk about how we can do that just by motioning our guys around. And so right here, I'm in the Florida playbook. I'm in the formation gun Y off trips in the play PA double post. And the defense here is in a cover 3 hard flat. Let's say I wanted to flood the left sideline in this case fairly quickly. Well, right now with just one receiver on that side, I can't really do that. However, if we just put our solo receiver on the left side on a streak, tight end on a drag, and then we very quickly motion over one of these post routes, all of a sudden, this post route, when motioned over, turns into a corner route. And now, out of nowhere, in just the blink of an eye, we have a flood concept going to the left side of the field, even though we were just in a trips formation just a moment ago. We essentially turned our trips formation into a doubles formation or a 2x2 formation. We can even do the same thing with this super shallow post. We could turn this super shallow post into a super shallow corner route, and once again, flood that sideline. Go ahead and motion him over, snap the ball, and now you have a super shallow corner route on that left side. So far, so good. But there's way more that we can do. Let's say you want to get the most out of this really unique tight end wheel route, but if you kind of just leave him where he's at, he's kind of running a little bit too close to the streak. Well, you can motion over that tight end wheel route, and all of a sudden he's going to basically line up, you could almost call that as a fullback. And now what's going to happen is because he has the extra spacing against this cover 3 defense, that streak is going to push back the defender in the deep blue. And eventually, you'll be able to pass lead this ball down to keep it away from the deep blue defender. You probably don't even need to pass lead it down. He's going to be wide open. And now you've created this new route combo that, again, you wouldn't have been able to create otherwise without the pre-snap motion. So again, you just motion him out and look at all the space he has. And I did pass lead it down right there. But look at how much space he has. But not just that. Let's say you want to run the ball. Let's say we want to call inside zone. We can still do that same motion. And so this time, it's like, okay, well, are they running that wheel route again? No, we're actually running inside zone, but we have an extra lead blocker, and now we have a 15-yard gain on that motion. And look at how opened up that run ended up being because of the motion over tight end. You see right here, he's just gonna go and take that linebacker and just completely clear out space for us. And then we have a ton of room to run. And so when your opponent sees this pre-snap motion, they really don't know, oh, is this going to be an inside zone or is it going to be a wheel route where he's going to have a ton of space on the outside if we, once he comes free. And unfortunately, I think I dropped back a little bit too far, but you guys get the point, is that with this pre-snap motion, there's so many options opened up for us. And there's so much deception we can do in ways that we can take advantage of the defense in ways that we wouldn't be able to do otherwise if we're not using pre-snap motion. And so when you get into practice mode especially, and you get into your favorite formations that you like to run, if you start motioning around guys, you can start creating some really unique setups, some really unique alignments, and some really unique interactions with the different routes. And when you start utilizing pre-snap motion, you truly will take your scheme to the next level. Because especially with these unique motions, again, like, one more time, this motion over where, we could be an inside zone, we motion this guy over. Just this alone and getting an extra lead blocker on this run play here, this is such a game changer. If you want to get 8 or 9 yards a carry with this motion over, I mean, it's just so good. And so hopefully you guys can see just in a few minutes, we can see how this motion different guys over, we can create different alignments, different sets, and create new route combos that wouldn't otherwise be possible. And so I strongly encourage everyone to practice using pre-snap motion and try to find your own unique route combos using motion, because that is truly how you will always be able to keep your opponent on their toes and they will never have any idea what you're going to do next. So those are 7 huge mistakes that you can fix to instantly start winning more games in College Football 25 and College Football 26. If you guys enjoyed this video, please do us a huge favor by hitting the like button and subscribing to the channel so that we know you want to see more videos just like this one. But thank you so much for watching, guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.